Ramsey County Board of Commissioners meeting of May 10th to order. We will start with roll call, please.
Okay. Carter.
Here.
Bradham.
Here.
McDonough. Here. McGuire.
Here. I can vote.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Here.
And Modis Castillo.
Here. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, and we'll turn to Commissioner Ortega for the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will. Some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hopes of a better life. And some have lived on this land since time immemorial. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connections across all barriers of heritage and difference. We are standing on the ancestral lands of the Dakota people. We want to acknowledge the Ojibwe and the Ho-Chunk and the other nations of people who also call this place home. We pay respects to their elders, past and present. Please take a moment to consider the treaties made by the tribal nations that entitle non-Native people to live and work on traditional Native lands. Consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today, and please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events.
Thank you,
Madam
Commissioner Ortega. We have the agenda of May 10th presented for approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Bradham.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye. Can I vote?
Sorry.
I'm happy to vote. I want to
Yes,
vote.
yes.
So
Thank you, Commissioner
Okay.
McGuire, and
Yeah.
thanks for the reminder. I just want to acknowledge that Commissioner McGuire is out due to COVID, and so we're following protocols, and so we're being prudent, and so she is joining us remotely. Thank you.
Thank you.
Continue.
And then Modis Castillo.
Aye. We have the minutes of May 3rd presented for approval.
So move.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Bradham.
Aye.
McDonough.
Aye.
McGuire.
Aye.
Modis Castillo.
Aye. And now we have our proclamation for Police Week, and we have a lot of special guests here in the chambers, and welcome to all of you. As Commissioner Reinhardt moves to the dais to present the proclamation, I just want to take a moment before we begin to underscore the incredible work that our law enforcement officers do and the critical work they're doing to assist to empower them to have the right tools for every situation. We know that law enforcement officers are often the first at a scene for some of the most stressful situations and environments that a person can endure. That's why it's important that our public response to those moments recognize how difficult these interactions are for everyone. The public, victims, law enforcement officers, dispatchers, even the people who are engaged in behavior that needs to be addressed. Our Ramsey County Sheriff's deputies continue to handle these situations every single day, and I'm proud to be part of an organization that has had the great record of engaging in these situations thoughtfully and respectfully while protecting those that need our help. One of our biggest initiatives this year, and one of the ones I'm most excited about, is our efforts to bring resources to the table for emergency response so that we can deliver the most effective and most valuable responses in every emergency situation, to include our co-responder models. I'm looking forward to this proclamation and honoring our law enforcement professionals, but I'm also looking forward to what the future brings and how we continue this work forward. With that, I'll turn it over to Commissioner Reinhardt for the proclamation.
Thank you, Chair Matas Castillo. I am truly honored to be presenting this proclamation this morning, and I will read it. It is in very small font because there's a lot of information here and the history of this, quite frankly, and how important it is. Whereas in 1962, President Kennedy proclaimed May 15th as National Peace Offers Memorial Day, and the calendar week in which May 15th falls as National Police Week. And whereas the National Police Week was established by a joint resolution of the United States Congress in 1962. And whereas there are approximately 800,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. And whereas every day law enforcement officers are the first to be on the scene to help those in need and are dedicated to serving the community. And whereas National Police Week pays special recognition to law enforcement officers who have lost their lives in the line of duty for the safety and protection of others. And whereas over 50,000 assaults against law enforcement officers are reported each year, resulting in approximately 14,000 injuries. And whereas since the first recorded death in 1786, over 22,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and been killed in the line of duty, including 4 members of the Ramsey County Sheriff's Office. And whereas the names of these dedicated public servants are engraved on the walls of the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial in Washington, D.C., and whereas in 2021, 472 officers were killed nationwide in the line of duty, and their names will be added to the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial this spring. And whereas the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund's Candlelight Vigil on May 13th, 2022. And whereas on May 15th, 2022, the service and sacrifice of all officers killed in the line of duty will be honored by the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial Fund and the Minnesota Law Enforcement Memorial Association. And whereas the service and sacrifice of Ramsey County suburban law enforcement officers killed in the line of duty will be honored during the Suburban Ramsey County Law Enforcement Memorial Ceremony later this year. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed, the Ramsey County Board of Commissioners designates May 11 through 17, 2022 as Police Week in Ramsey County, and publicly salutes the service of law enforcement officers in our community and in communities across the nation. And as I said, this is truly an honor to be able to read this proclamation and to present it. I'm going to turn it over to Sheriff Bob Fletcher and to present it to you, first of all. And then introducing the folks behind here, and I know that there are going to be some comments as well.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt, and welcome, Sheriff Fletcher.
Thank you. Obviously, the front line is behind us today, and our thanks go to all of them, and they are truly on the front line. Us administrators, not so much, but we owe a great thank you to them. I do want to say briefly that the last 2 years have been difficult on everyone, and law enforcement is no exception. They couldn't work from home. Of course, they had to be on the front line. The stress of the job has never been greater, and I've been in this job since 1977. And nationwide, a lot of thousands have retired because of the job. And it's difficult. When I came on, there were 1,800 applicants. Last year, St. Paul had 100 applicants, just to tell you about the number of people that are choosing not to go into this profession. So I would like to yield the rest of my time to our Federation President, Union President, who represents the men and women of the Sheriff's Office, to talk about an important issue regarding wellness of our deputies. Thank you.
Thank you.
Allison Shaver.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. The Sheriff's Office Wellness Committee has prepared a statement for you. Sheriff Fletcher, Chair Matas Castillo, County Commissioners, Ryan O'Connor, County Manager, thank you for the opportunity to be there to be before you today and speak on behalf of our peace officers who protect Ramsey County every day. We'd like to speak to you briefly on the opportunity to collaborate to effect real positive change for our deputies and the residents we serve. As many of you know, a central pillar to the 21st century policing model is officer health and wellness. It is our mission to provide proactive, preventative services to encourage health and wellness, offer a comprehensive approach to mental health support, and prioritize wellness as an area of critical need for our deputies. Our deputies face a professional crisis as society grapples with its expectations of law enforcement. At the same time, we observe some of the most traumatic events any individual can see, often on a daily basis. The Sheriff's Office Wellness Committee's mission is to build a comprehensive approach to employee wellness dedicated to first responder services. We look forward to collaboration with the Sheriff and the County Board to ensure our deputies, correctional officers, and the rest of our staff have complete commitment from county leadership to build towards this goal. There is a clear corollary data showing healthier officers, both physically and mentally, leads to less use of force complaints, less internal affairs investigations, less sick time usage, and put simply, better service to our residents. There are countless positive outcomes to our residents that align with the county's stated mission and values. Now is the opportunity for Ramsey County to be a leader in the field of law enforcement mental health support, wellness commitment, and absolute dedication to the deputies who endure emotional traumas to advocate and protect the citizens we serve every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Any questions or comments for the board members?
I'm going to turn over to County Manager O'Connor.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Allison. Thank you, Sheriff Fletcher, for the comments. Thanks to all of you for being here today. I would just note that we've done this proclamation with the previous chair as well during the event that you hold to remember officers, both who served for Ramsey County and across this country who have fallen as well. And so it's good to see you in the chambers today. I would just add that the last 2 years has had so many moments that can pull us apart in so many different ways. And us means a lot of different people. It means everybody in here in a different way. And trying to find ways to remind ourselves of our common thread of service to the community and the important roles that we all play is so important. And I wanted to thank you for that and note that we've had late night phone calls during some of the darkest and most sad moments coming out of your area as the same way as other parts of this organization. And as we move forward together, we continue to find ways to best serve this community in good times and in bad. But I appreciate all of you for being a part of this team and for all of your fellow officers who are not with us today, but out on the street right now doing their job well. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to turn over to Commissioner Fretham.
So I just wanted to say, as the only commissioner who has the privilege of having Ramsey County as my local police force, as living in a contract city, a special thank you to all of you, especially to the officer that called up when my 6-year-old decided to see what happens when she called 911. Thank you. Sorry about that. We appreciate the work you do, and I'm really excited to hear about this wellness initiative. I think it's so important that our staff members who experience trauma through their work, and there is so much trauma involved in work that deals with crisis every day, are getting the adequate support and restorative practices necessary to ensure you're able to do your jobs to your best ability. So I'm very excited to hear that and looking forward to hearing more and working on that with you. So thank you, everyone.
Great. Thank you.
Let's, Allison, why don't you and Josh take the plaque right in front there, and we'll back up a little bit for the photographer.
Between the pillars, if you can squeeze in.
Squeeze in. I might have to switch.
How's that?
I think we've got everybody. Perfect. All right. We're going to take a few of them, so I'll count down 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Can you put the skinny lens on?
1, 2, 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much. Thank you all very, very much. All right, we will move on to our administrative items. And I am turning to, sorry, Commissioner Ortega, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
I'd like to move item number 4, sole source agreement with Fieldware for automated telephone systems, software. Item number 5, use of grant funds under a letter of no prejudice for the Metro Gold Line Bus Rapid Transit Project. Item number 6, amendment to the financial commitment to Metro Gold Line Bus Rapid Transit Project. Item number 7, expenditure grant agreement, proof of concept program for transforming systems together.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call, please.
Ortega.
Aye.
Reinhardt.
Aye.
Carter.
Aye.
Freda.
Aye.
McDonough. McGuire.
Aye.
Mattis Castillo.
Aye.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
I
Reinhardt.
didn't want to pull them, but I do think that Commissioner Ortega especially deserves kudos regarding the Gold Line, and thought maybe you would want to speak to it for just a moment. This
Yes.
is really an important moment.
Yeah, well, I think we're also bringing this up at the railroad.
Yes.
Okay.
thing. But thank you for that. You know, we go into construction this August, and after, I think I've been on it at least 10 years. So just so folks know, this is Bus Rapid Transit, and it took us at a minimum 10 years to get here. This is the Gold Line from St. Paul to Maplewood, and it's BRT, fixed guideway. It took a lot of work and a lot of education and community involvement all along the line. So thank you for that, and we go into construction in August, so that's all good news.
Great. Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. Did you want to make any further comment,
I
Commissioner Reinhardt?
just, actually, when this was formed, I was I was the representative to, I forgot what it was called. Was it Gateway?
Gateway.
Okay. That tells you how long ago it's been. It's been Gold Line for quite some time, and this was something that has really, I mean, every step of the way, our partners have been there working with us, and I just think the work that especially has been done in the last few years, and that's how come I wanted to call out Commissioner Ortega and the work that you have done, the heavy lifting that you've done. Sometimes it just, you know, we have these things on our agenda, and I know it's going to be on Rail Authority too, but I just, you're chair of that, and it's harder for you to speak to kudos for yourself from the chair position. So I thought it was important to do it here.
Well, thank you.
Fantastic work with all of our
I
partners.
just realized I made a mistake. I said Maplewood, and it's Woodbury.
Woodbury, yes. Thank you. You've got so many lines going.
Correcting me, Jay.
Well, thank you again, Commissioner Reinhardt, for bringing that up, and thank you, Commissioner Ortega, for your work. With that, we'll move to roll call, please.
Oh, no,
I thought we did that.
We did it.
Oh, sorry. Look, see, you got me stuck. It feels like a Monday, even though it's Tuesday. We have one policy item up for discussion. This is for information and discussion only. It's the update on inclusive housing development and solicitation from our community and economic development team. If you want to come to the dais.
Thanks, Madam Chair. As Director Collins comes up to join us with Max Holdhusen, this is we're doing a two-stage approach here for the housing solicitation with a policy brief update today, followed by some actions in the coming weeks that Director Collins will lay out. It's complicated. There's just a variety of funding sources. It can be hard to track where the funding is going. This is a high priority, obviously, for our community and frankly for the entire state to see more housing units built, and it's one of those actionable steps that takes our economic competitiveness and inclusion plan off the shelf and brings it to life. And with that, I'll turn it over to Director Collins.
Thank you, County Manager O'Connor and Madam Chair, members of the board. This is our intent to kind of ground both the board and the general public as to where we are at, to give an overview of the types of applications received through the inclusive housing development solicitation, and then as County Manager O'Connor mentioned, next steps. So just to kind of remind you in terms of the tiering of ARPA investments, this does represent Tier 5, and you'll recall from a prior slide and a prior PowerPoint that this is intended to be transformational. This is infrastructure that will stay with us for many, many decades to come. And so we're very pleased with the response we got to the solicitation for deeply affordable housing infrastructure. And as Max will walk you through momentarily, that is at the 30% area median income level. Again, some additional background. Ramsey County did receive close to $107 million via 2 payments. We received the first in 2021 and now are on track to receive the second allocation. The funds must be obligated by December 31st of 2024. Why is that important to housing infrastructure? Well, this is new construction, and as we know, it takes a lot of steps to get housing built and an occupancy permit issued. You need to have site control. You need to work through all sorts of a huge capital stack, and you need to kind of work through all of the various steps to get people into new rental units. And it can take upwards of a year to 2 to build affordable housing infrastructure. So we're going to need this kind of runway so that we can get the dollars spent by 2026. A reminder in terms of where we're at with the housing continuum. This is where supply meets demand and where we kind of center our energy with housing stability is around supportive housing. So you will see some projects come through the inclusive housing development solicitation coming up here on May 17th around permanent supportive housing, and then you'll start to see that deeply affordable housing rental product as well that doesn't have supportive services quite yet, but could be in place down the road. And then lastly, as the county manager mentioned, this is in direct alignment with our economic competitiveness and inclusion plan, particularly the first category, which is to ensure place-based inclusion, and the first strategy, to preserve and increase the supply of rental housing units for lowest income residents. You'll recall that the study called out a deficit of 15,000 units at specifically 30% area median income. And so we know that this is a huge bite of the apple. We know we can't do it alone. We're going to lean on our state partners, our municipal partners, to advance as many units as possible. But this is a huge, huge level of investment into affordable housing that Ramsey County just hasn't seen historically. So in a moment, we'll walk through, I want to skip to the next here, the housing development solicitation process, but I also wanted to take a moment to recognize Max Holdhusen as our housing development manager and our housing team, our compliance team, our legal team, our finance team, our communications team, and everybody who participated in the solicitation with our partners over at City of St. Paul and the housing team there. A lot of work went in to get us to this point, and so we're very pleased with that. We're pleased with the response because it took a lot of sifting through legal guidance and kind of creating processes where we didn't have one before. So without further ado, Max. Thank you.
Welcome,
hey.
Max.
Hi. Thank you, Director Collins, Chair, Commissioners. Today I'm announcing our kind of timeline for the Inclusive Housing Development Solicitation and when we will be announcing recommended awards, both on May 10th and May 17th. So to implement our strategies in the Economic Inclusion Plan, we released 2 solicitations in February 14th, 2022, and they were open for 1 month. This was set up to be a one-door solicitation so that it was possible for developers to not have to know which funding source would be the most appropriate for their development, but instead they could apply in, and our expertise both in finance, county attorney's office, and community and economic development could connect the developer to the appropriate funding source. So we had 7 funding sources available in this Inclusive Housing Development Solicitation. Those were American Rescue Plan Act, Community Development Block Grant, Environmental Response Fund, General Obligation Bonds, Home American Rescue Plan, and Housing Redevelopment Authority levy. Eligible activities included both new construction and preservation, rental and home ownership, and multifamily and single family. So it was cast a wide net of all types of housing projects. The second solicitation was public services and infrastructure, which is consistently an eligible category under Community Development Block Grant, and now for this one-time grant, Home American Rescue Plan. We received 36 eligible applications within the Inclusive Housing Development Solicitation. The total request was over $55 million. 25 of those applications were in the city of St. Paul with a request of $43 million. So those were predominantly new construction projects within the city of St. Paul. There was 10 suburban applications totaling just over $11 million in requests. And then there was one application that was more countywide that had sites in both suburban and city of St. Paul. There was 20 new construction applications totaling $41 million, 9 multifamily preservation applications with almost $8.7 million, and 7 single-family related applications. In the public services and infrastructure category, we received 10 eligible applications, totaling about $2.096 million. Again, just want to call out our friends in the county attorney's office, finance, compliance, and communications as we work through the solicitation, especially on the scoring and review piece. Projects were scored in 4 categories with a scoring review team. The review team included community and economic development, finance, housing stability, policy and planning, and the county attorney's office. Projects were scored in 4 categories: project and financial feasibility, unit affordability, organizational capacity, and strategic priorities and alignment. Within strategic priorities and alignment, we asked developers to connect their development plans to the Economic Competitiveness Inclusion Plan, the Equitable Development Framework, and the Deeply Affordable Housing Initiative Engagement Report. That report occurred in the fall of 2021 in conjunction with the City of St. Paul, where we really reached out to our housing providers in the homeless service system to see what kind of housing would best fit their clients as well. So we asked all applications to align to those plans. In addition to scoring, all projects were underwritten, and both internally and through a third-party consultant, and that third-party consultant was Baker Tilly. CED also hosted funding prioritization meetings, both with the Minnesota Housing Finance Agency, Baker Tilly, and the City of St. Paul, so we could compare where these projects were in their timelines and what funding commitments were already, what funding sources were already committed to these projects. Projects were assigned recommended award amounts that would advance the greatest number of feasible projects, and there was alignment across multiple funding sources. So moving forward into next steps. Director Collins discussed the 2-prong approach. So today on May 10th, we have this summary report. We also have, going to the Housing Redevelopment Authority today, the projects recommended for Community Development Block Grant, the Home Grant, and the Home American Rescue Plan Act Grant. On May 17th, you'll see 2 administrative items, one for the American Rescue Plan Act recommended projects, and one for the projects recommended for general obligation bonds. Those general obligation bonds are from the 2021, let me see if I get this right, Capital Investment Program Act, CPAC, yeah. I know the acronym, but I don't always know what it stands for. And the board is also to consider another administrative item for the second tranche of ARPA funding. So in August 2021, this board committed $37 million of American Rescue Plan Act towards strategies in the Economic Inclusion Plan, predominantly deeply affordable housing. So the $20 million will be in that. $20 million was awarded for 2021-2022. Those recommended projects will go to board on May 17th, and then we'll be bringing another board item to accept the second $17 million, the second tranche for the same activity. Projects recommended for the HRA levy will also be considered by the Housing Redevelopment Authority Board on that day. And that concludes the presentation. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Max, and thank you for your work and to everyone that was involved. I think this really demonstrates both the need for affordable housing, but also the desire of partners to reach out to us for funding. And so I think it's an example of how oversubscribed we are, and that there's a greater need than even what we can afford, and our need to continue to advocate for more resources for housing. So thanks you, Max, for your work on that. Yes, Commissioner Ortega, don't go anywhere. We've got questions.
Just a quick question.
Yeah.
With the federal money, besides the timeline, the deadline, what is the other criteria that we need to fulfill? In other words, what does expending those monies mean by?
So in the American Rescue Plan Act, there is a long document called the Final Guidance of the American Rescue Plan Act, and there are requirements around income and affordability, and so all projects need to be at 40% area median income or below for the American Rescue Plan Act. It can be for preservation or new construction within the affordable housing category.
And Commissioner, I think it's also worth mentioning that many of the projects that you'll see for consideration on May 17th may have a range of AMI levels. However, the ARPA funds that we're deploying for those particular projects are only covering the eligible units. So those units that are via the solicitation, 30% AMI or less.
So we have a timeline to expend the dollars, and so we could commit them now, and then do we have to complete the project by that date?
The project, or the funds will need to be spent by 2026.
Well,
So-
that's different than finishing the project by that date.
Yeah, yes, no, the project doesn't have to be completed. The project needs to be submitted to the developer to get the project underway by 2026. So-
Gotcha. That makes a big difference in terms of
yes.
putting the dollars to good use and out the door.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, County Manager O'Connor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. I appreciate the presentation today and the timeline pieces. We're trying to move quickly on things with long time horizons. I think it's important just to raise again, this comes up a lot, almost on a weekly basis, but it's important that we keep doing it, that when being asked by other parties about what are we doing in other spaces along the housing continuum all the way down to emergency shelter, allocating funding like this is what we are doing instead. And delaying this or not doing this would undercut our ability to develop those units. And so these are those clear choices that come to the fore while the legislature continues its work. And it's just important for us to continue to highlight that we aren't sitting back waiting. This is our staff moving as quickly as they can. And there's clearly a development interest and need across the community. And in talking with the chair to prepare for today, we realize we need to continue forward, regardless of some of the other uncertainty around us.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you. Commissioner Fretham.
Not so much a question, but a comment that it would be great to see within the prioritization a nod for projects that are more climate friendly in development, since these are buildings that are going to stand for a long time.
Agreed. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. Thank you. Thank you for the presentation and for the great work. We are going to now turn to Commissioner McGuire remotely to give us our legislative update.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate the ability to do this. Just to give the update, I want to thank our government relations staff, Jenna O'Rourke and Melissa Finnegan, and our team that continues to meet on Mondays. The conference committees are in full swing. Most of the big ones started yesterday, with the exception of taxes and bonding. Taxes may start up at the end of this week. Bonding, we'll see when bonding happens. That generally is the last big conference committee to end. So neither side has unveiled a bonding bill yet. We keep expecting that it's going to come, but it's not here yet. So when they do, we'll let you all know. We have Ramsey County conferees on almost every committee group, which is really great. They've combined a number of larger bills into even bigger bills, so that conference committees are handling different topic areas, and we do have Ramsey County legislators on almost all of them. On public safety, we have actually two with Representative Mariani and Representative Becker-Finn. Representative Pinto is on Health and Human Services. Representative Wazowick is on the Environment Committee, and Representative Hausman is serving on the Housing, Ag, and Broadband Conference Committee. So we expect we could have someone on the tax conference committee as well when that's announced. So we're watching a lot of provisions. If you have any questions, please connect with our government relations staff. Also just wanted to let you know that the legislative team is meeting with our Ramsey County legislators this Wednesday, tomorrow at 3 p.m. virtually to cover 3 topics: homelessness in the communities of care, bonding, specifically the park at River's Edge, and the youth justice legislation. So we just wanted to touch base with all of them so that they would be able to be watching for all of those issues as they see these conference committees be meeting. So that's my report, Madam Chair. Thank you. I stand for any questions, but thanks to everyone for your continued work. I know that a number of us are calling legislators and meeting with them and calling others to make sure that our work continues to move forward.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. All right, we're going to move on to County Connections. County Manager O'Connor.
Thanks, Madam Chair. We're going to start out by inviting Jill Gontarek up today. And anyone who wants to join her. Jill, you want to come up solo or you want your crew to join you?
I think my crew should join.
I think they should too. Jill's crew can join her up behind her today.
Got my relatives or staff?
I'll be
Whoever
above.
would like to stand
Everyone.
behind you and support you. There's no limit. Jill's going to be retiring from a long tenure of service here with Ramsey County. And so, as a part of that, her team helped prepare a few thoughts and words that I'm going to share with everybody here today. We'll save the roast, Jill. I'm going to go easy on you. They're tougher than I am, but the year was 1975. It was October 14th. Gerald Ford had been president just over a year following the Watergate scandal. And a new show called Saturday Night Live, you may have heard of it, was captivating audiences with a lineup of hip, fresh upstarts such as Chevy Chase, Dan Aykroyd, and Gilda Radner. And freshly minted Ramsey County Clerk Typist 1, Jill Gontarek, a recent Johnson High School grad, East Side Pride. There's a theme throughout this. We may say East Side Pride a few times.
It's a theme.
Sat down at her desk, shuffled those new employee papers, straightened out the pencils, pens, and maybe an abacus, doubtlessly imagining this very day, 46 and a half years later, joining us here in the council chambers on the eve of her retirement. That's right, 46 and a half years. Jill is one of but 3 current employees with this esteemed tenure at Ramsey County. I asked Auditor Treasurer Heather Bessler to do the calculations with the abacus, of course, and it turns out that Jill's been with the county for over 27% of its existence as an organization. She is currently the Deputy Director of the Assessor's Office, and Jill is well known to all of us and beloved. She's held 9 different positions in her tenure, earning a promotion on average of every 5 years. Jill, if you hang around just a few more years, you can give this on me soon enough, I think. I asked County Assessor Luis Rosario to share a few of Jill's career highlights. He shared a bunch of words about how many different tax assessment systems she's worked with and helped implement. And she's worked for 8 different assessors, but she, of course, told Luis that he is her favorite of all of them. I'll leave out the little smiley-faced emoji that came after that. As her longtime colleague, friend, and Johnson grad, Chris Kiefler, said so well, Jill's knowledge of the assessor's office, the service team, and Ramsey County will not be replaced with a single individual. Her willingness to wade in and share her knowledge wherever needed and whenever needed has been of immeasurable value to the county as a whole. And let's not forget the sense of humor, priceless. Chris actually started working on the same day as Jill. Oh, there she is, hiding behind the pillar. I knew she was there too. And so we all know how true those words ring. Jill is endlessly skilled, giving, endlessly hilarious, and where we will indeed miss you, we will wish you all the best in your upcoming and well-deserved retirement. I see that you plan to spend time here with your 2 children, 3 grandchildren, ride your horse, walk your dog, do gardening, keep knocking down home improvement projects at your home near Lake Phelan. Did I say East Side Pride?
East Side Pride.
I was also happy to see that your happy place is up on Lake Superior's North Shore. We share that in common, and I look forward to bumping up maybe sometime up there, or you can dodge me if you want, or maybe we can see each other over at Brunson's on Payne. I'd love to offer a round of applause for Jill and thank her for her many years of service on behalf of Ramsey County residents and businesses. Thank you, Jill. Jill, I'm going to turn it over to you, so I'll give you a second to think about what you want to say. I just wanted to note that we had a chance to go to lunch at M Street a few years ago, and I was always asking people, who do I need to meet? And Jill got put to the top of that list by her favorite assessor, I believe, actually. And we had a chance to talk, and you can feel and see the wisdom of 9 positions and that much time with an organization come through. You can hear stories about where we have improved over time, and you can hear hilarious stories too about days gone by. But through all of it, the other piece that really stood with me is an adaptability that is unique. To be able to be meaningful and make an impact for more than 4 decades with an organization and a community that's unique, and many of us cannot even dream of what it would look like to get to do that, and that's amazing. And I came away feeling inspired by your ability to find ways to continually learn and reinvent yourself so that you were seen as a leader for new staff and longer tenured staff, and that's such an important part of the organization we want to build. And I wanted to personally add that reflection, Jill, from our chances to get to meet each other. But I've said enough. I'd like to turn it over to you.
Madam Commissioner, or Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager O'Connor. That's hard to follow up. Thank you for the kind words. I swore I wasn't going to cry, so I can't look at Chris. It's been an honor and my privilege to work for Ramsey County all these years and to serve its citizens. And not going to cry. The people who really do the work are the staff in the assessor's office, who are amazing. The supervisors, the appraisers, the support staff, statisticians, everyone. They're the ones that keep the wheels on and keep everything rolling day to day. And I'd like to thank all of them. A lot of them are here. Most of them are supposed to be standing up here, but a few are still sitting. Other than that, it's just, all I can say is thank you. It's been an honor. I did forget to say my children are here, my grandchildren.
Yes. Thank you, Jill. We were wondering who was sporting that great hairstyle back over there. You can see some little spikes popping up. It's very good. Thank you, Jill. Our county is better because you have been here leading the way and helping us. And I'm sure tears are okay. I'm sure it's not the first time someone in the county assessor's office cried. But thank you very much. I want to just turn it to Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you. Yes, this is a really important and exciting opportunity. I don't know about opportunity, adventure, I guess is more like it. Yeah. But I have to comment on the fact that we know that you have an incredible sense of humor, because to work in the assessor's office and all of the things that have changed and times when it was just, I know, so difficult, and you kept smiling and you kept working and making it better with your entire team. And you are a team player, but that sense of humor clearly paid dividends.
Thank
you.
Thank you. I also want to acknowledge that Deputy County Manager Karen Francois is on the line with us. She's waving. We can't quite see you yet, Karen, but there you are. She is on the screen and waving. And Karen, did you want to say anything? I want to make sure I give you a chance as well.
Yeah, just very quickly. Jill, I'm so sorry that I couldn't be there today. And I know that you're going to be with us a little bit longer with doing a pro, and I hope to see you when I get back. But thank you so much for all of the amazing, exemplary work you've done over the years. You are one of the funniest people ever, and I am going to miss that sense of humor. But thank you, Jill. You're awesome, and you're going to be really difficult to replace. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thank you all very much.
Let's get a photo real quickly
Yes.
before we move.
Got to get
If you
in
can
between the poles.
If you guys go sideways, it can Perfect. All right. I'm going to take a few. I'm going to count down. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Excellent. Yes. Commissioner McDonough would like to comment.
Johnson grad was mentioned a number of times. We just had pride. I'd love to get a picture of all the Johnson grads that are here today.
My brother, my sister.
Let's
Awesome.
get them all up there. If you
All right. Yes.
humor me real
Yes.
quick.
Commissioner McDonough, by all means, you should join them. Go Governors.
Threatened to share my 11th grade picture.
We would love to see that.
Chris, there's still time.
I think this is a good year to do that.
This way.
I think you have to say go Governors, right?
Yes.
Sister.
Yeah, sisters.
East Side.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thank you again, and congratulations, Jill, and for all of her family and support that came here today as well. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Madam Chair, we have one more happy goodbye we're going to do today. John Stickland, get up here. He doesn't know we're doing it, but we're going to do it. Department Director of Communications. It's always happy, even when it's bittersweet. His team ambushed him. They were waiting in the hallway because they knew, as a part of who John is, they knew that if he came in too quickly, if they came in too quickly, he may have tried to run with an urgent media story. But John joined Ramsey County in 2014. And since that time, he's immediately and passionately dug into the Ramsey Online initiative with 3 major components: launching a refreshed logo with the county's first consistent brand standards since, well, forever. Completely rebuilding the county's website with an idea toward mobile responsiveness, user experience, and accessibility, which became ramseycounty.us. And rebuilding the employee intranet site, RamseyNet, which launched in March of 2016. There's so many who probably don't remember what we used to have, but I wish I had a picture of a cache of those things right now to go back to. We're not going back, John. We're not going back. John was also my office neighbor at the time. When I was in the policy director role, we got to spend a lot of time together. And one of his first tasks was identifying a network of employees working in communications or communications adjacent roles across this organization to organize a monthly communicators work group that built the foundation that then led to a centralized communications function. He led the execution of 2 strategic priorities around countywide communications strategies and resources. That was actually in our strategic plan because we did not have it in 2016. And the second was the open and accessible public data portal, which has now led to the creation of our open data portal known as Open Ramsey County. Both initiatives required extensive leadership and collaboration well beyond that of just a communicator, but someone who is also a leader and an organizer. And in 2019, the division formally expanded into the Communications and Public Relations Department. John has also raised his hand to strategically align and manage Ramsey County's relationships with the Historical Society and the University of Minnesota Extension Services. In 2020 and 2021, John got to lead the public information section for Ramsey County's COVID-19 response. What else can we even say about that? We got to see each other on many late nights, and my favorite photo that I have with John that I do not have ready to put up today, but I wish I did, there's a photo from the middle of the night that was taken by Fred Mello as he was in the entryway to the county manager's office, and John is leaning into me, telling me something very important, and my head is up against the wall, and I'm just looking up at the ceiling, and I'm not annoyed at John, but I might fall asleep, and it made it onto a Twitter feed as, this is what county government looks like right now, and it's a beautiful caption that I told John, will stay with me my entire life. John continually pushes his team to approach projects with a spirit of continuous improvement and strategic thinking. He encourages Government Relations Director Jen O'Rourke to think about building the next generation of government relations. And how do we continue to think about ways to be customer focused all the time? The professionalism and capacity of communications produced by Ramsey County today is a testament of John's time here. He's touched thousands of projects from simple to complex. In his word, as communications Picassos, we can do Bull's Head or we can do Guernica. Since John, never heard that one, John.
Okay.
Since John started, Ramsey County has won nearly 40 Northern Lights Awards from the Minnesota Association of Government Communicators, including one for the redesign of the legislative platform documents, which makes our message far more clear outside of here. That's one of those that I look at and think back to where we were and where we are now. And in 2019, Communications and Public Relations was honored with the Leaders in Local Government Award from the St. Paul area of Commerce. John, I want to thank you for your contributions to the organization, your partnership, your can-do attitude and commitment to the community, your unfailing dedication to public service. Best of luck to you as you embark on the next stage of your career over with the University of Minnesota and their Center for Transportation Studies, where you can write about all our successful transit projects and excellent all-abilities work happening here in Ramsey County. You will be missed. You leave behind a great team that will continue to carry forward the torch. And a big part of our job is leaving it better than we found it, and you should feel proud that you've had the opportunity to do that here. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We missed one additional bullet that didn't get added, is that you've also managed 7 commissioners and helped keep us out of trouble in communications realm. That should not be underscored by no short of a big challenge. So I just wanted to add that is for us as well as commissioners, as chairs and previous chairs, how integral your work has been to make sure that we're on message, that we're thinking of all the things and managing crisis and positive moments. So thank you very much, John.
John, we do have Deputy County Manager Karen with us, but do you want to say anything?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Please,
No.
Deputy County Manager.
Oh, sorry. John, yeah, I am so going to miss you, but you have built such an amazing team, and you should be really, really proud of that. And I appreciate you so much for it because you built a strong bench, and it's going to make it a lot easier over the next period of transition because of what you've built. So I just want to say thank you. And you've been such a great friend and colleague. I'm going to miss you. And I've already cried like a baby because you're going to leave. So I'm not going to do that again today. But thank you so much, my friend. Let's most definitely stay in touch.
That was awfully sweet. Madam Chair, Commissioners, County Manager, and guests, I share this trait with Jill in that I get choked up. I'm going to battle this off. I feel like a bit of an imposter, too. Following a legend like Jill Gantarek, I mean, that doesn't seem quite right. But thank you all, Madam Chair. You mentioned, that it has not been hard to work with this board on issues that have come before us, whether when we want to declare our successes or we're owning up for our mistakes. It has been a real privilege to work with each of you. I've learned a ton from each of you, and I will carry it with me forever. Thank you so much for that. I've had the privilege of reporting to, there's Karen, of reporting to 4 deputy county managers in my time here: Heather Worthington, Joanna Berg, Scott Williams, and currently Karen. All wonderful people, great friends, 2 county managers as well, from my neighbor policy director, then deputy county manager, and now county manager Ryan O'Connor, who I consider a friend. Thank you, Ryan. Finally, I appreciate Karen talking about the team. The team is unbelievable. So this is a small but mighty team that punches way above its weight class, and you are in very good hands going forward. Happy to, as you know, Karen announced that Allison Winters will be interim director starting Thursday, and so you're in very good hands going forward. I'd just like, in closing, to thank you all again for the privilege and the honor of serving you and the people of Ramsey County. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Madam Chair?
Yes, Commissioner Reinhardt.
I just want to, John, come back here. And I know that each one of us could talk about the stories and things, but I just need to say from a very personal level how amazing the transformational work that you have done here in Ramsey County is from a communication standpoint. It truly is amazing. And the team that's been built, the professionalism, the sense of humor, just really knowing that we were going to be making change, that the ultimate goal was to serve people better, make sure they had the information they needed. And I think one of the most important lessons that I learned from you
This young man has the right idea.
yes, is that we could count on you and your team. Because I remember you saying, okay, if you have anything, if you have a question that comes to you, just call me. And so there were a few times that I thought, okay, I called him. I'm not sure that he really wanted me to do that as much as I did, but it made sure that our message was consistent and that we were able to learn from each other and learn from you. And you've always been there. When we needed you, you've been there, ready, willing, and able. So personally, I just have to say a huge thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. And I know we're having a little going away celebration for you Thursday, so I'm sure you'll hear lots more gratitude. And also happy to hear you're not going that far away, that will still have connections to you. So thank you again.
Thank you
Thanks,
so much.
John.
Madam Chair, I'm going to fly through a couple of quick other pieces here. The Minnesota United FC soccer team honored the Mental Health and Wellness Action Team, MHWAT, which I don't think you can actually pronounce as an acronym anyway, with the Latois Denord Award and Community Pennant at the game on Saturday, May 7th in recognition of Mental Health Awareness Month. It recognized the community healing work that was done last year and in 2020 by the team, and to educate their fan base on the work that St. Paul Ramsey County does around mental health, wellness, and promotion. Dr. Tolupe Ola and Sarah Holly, the Director of Public Health, accepted the award on behalf of the team. It was a big moment, and it was a great moment. Congratulations to everybody there. Also on May 4th, and this might come up as we do commissioner updates as well, the County and Goodwill Easter Seals celebrated the success of a pilot workforce training program. There's a great article written in the Star Tribune about it if you haven't seen it yet. The pictures are awesome, and it showcases the work of so many in a skills and job training effort to say, how do we take a tax forfeited house, and turn it into a productive property under the program that Ramsey County runs. 90 students trained, all sorts of positivity around inclusive workforce and women and training completion rate. And the biggest piece that stood out is in the article, $25,000 of average income growth for the graduates of that work. So kudos to IPR. And then finally, I told you we had submitted for the NACO Achievement Awards. You'll hear more as we go through the summer, but we are going to receive 2 NACO 22 Achievement Awards, one in the Aquatic Invasive Species area for check-in, check-out program, and Ramsey County's economic competitiveness, I cannot say that word, and inclusion. Congratulations to everybody here for the big awards. Thank you, Madam Chair. I am done.
Excellent. Great county connections this week. Let's keep that up for sure. We're going to go.
We have to have our own meeting.
I know. That's for county.
Put it on the agenda.
That's right.
Like regional rail, the county manager.
County managers' celebrations. Exactly. I'm going to turn to Commissioner Fretham for outside board and committee reports. Commissioner Fretham.
Well, I don't want to steal too much thunder, but Commissioner Mattis Castillo and I, as members of the Recycling and Energy Center's Facility and Finance Committee, were able to visit 2 potential vendors for processing our food scrap waste that we'll begin collecting curbside in 2023. It was an incredible trip and so helpful, especially for me as a new member, new to this work, to really dig in and understand what we're looking at. And I'm so excited about the opportunities that we have with this work, and that we in Ramsey County are not only going to be leading the nation, but potentially the world in some of the technology we'll be able to adopt. And a special thank you to Commissioner Reinhardt, because I know she has been the driver of a lot of this work for a long time. So I've become a anaerobic digestion, booster, and if they have a club, if there's a club, I'm joining. I also got the chance, once we got back, to join the State Advisory Council Subcommittee on Children's Mental Health. We're working to finalize our legislatively mandated report and considering ways to make those recommendations more impactful. So how can we get things out sooner so it can more likely to be included in a governor's budget for next year. And then finally, the Law Library, we're continuing our efforts to re-envision Law Library funding and planning to do some outreach, and also thinking about how we continue to drive services into community to help those most in need. How do we make sure pro se clients are able to reach the resources that we have, and that we're balancing our collections and investments towards those who have the least access to services. So really exciting work that we're doing with our new Law Library Director.
Excellent. Thank you, Commissioner Fretham. Commissioner Reinhardt.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, there's actually been quite a bit going on, especially in the environmental area. But one thing that I would like to highlight is that the Ramsey County Historical Society made a presentation last week on the Ramsey County Poor Farm from the time of Minnesota Territory to the New Deal. And there were students from the University of Minnesota that did a project. I think it was the U of M. Anyhow, and it was really great to see the excitement and enthusiasm and the recognition of how important history is. And sometimes we can lose that if we don't make sure that we preserve it. And so it was really an interesting conversation. Then also, there's with climate smart cities, there's a partnership that's been in place for a number of years now with the folks from Germany, and they were in Minnesota, and there were a number of events. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get to them because of limited mobility at this point, but they are doing amazing work, and we have folks from all across Minnesota that participated as well. I live in White Bear Lake, and that is one of the sister cities that is part of this coalition. So really great work, and talking about how, sometimes you look at the climate change issues and you feel overwhelmed. But when you look at all of the work that is happening and knowing that it is critical, that time is of the essence here, but knowing that you've got a lot of partners around the world to make a change here, it seems more doable. And so it's great to have that partnership in place. I also, this morning actually before the county board meeting, I made a presentation to the Rotary Club in Arden Hills Shoreview about the Mississippi River Restoration and Resiliency Initiative of Congresswoman McCollum, and talking about how important that is. And I know that, we are supporting that initiative. The National Association of Counties has a position in favor of it. And we just need to get more and more people to sign on as far as being supporters of this. It's a non-regulatory approach to restoring and making the Mississippi River resilient. It is not only a state asset and a country asset, but it is worldwide, and the importance of that. I would like to also point out that tonight there is a climate action meetup. I think it's the first one probably in a series to talk about what we are doing, and I know that Commissioner Montes Castillo and your initiative regarding climate change is part of what is going to be discussed tonight, and very exciting for us to do that. I guess I will end with just a couple of things. I guess one is I am a proud supporter of Lakeshore Players Theater in White Bear Lake. They have a production on right now, Little Mermaid, that will blow you out of the water. I went to it and was just, I think a lot, because of COVID and not being able to have live theater across the area anyhow, that the work that goes into it is pretty amazing. It is running through this, I think it's through the 22nd or 23rd of May, and it's well worth going to. Although I have to tell you that when Ariel first was on the stage, I thought, wow, I mean, you wouldn't need any makeup at all. You could just do it. And I know that you have the voice to do it as well.
I do not have the voice to do it.
Oh, okay.
Single threat.
Anyhow, but I did think of you because it was like, wow. And so, yeah, taking some time, whether you're, my grandkids loved it, but it's a story that is just so heartwarming. And then finally, we have been getting our COVID update, and I think that it's worth mentioning at every one of our county board meetings, even though our risk is low at this point, the transmissibility is high. Mm-hmm. This is not over, folks. Right. And we need to be diligent. And, you still need to get the vaccination if you haven't gotten it yet, because one of the reasons that we are going into high transmissibility is because of the variants. The best way to deal with that is to make sure that you are vaccinated so that the variant doesn't have as many ways to get out there and infect us. So, again, just a reminder that we still need to take this very seriously. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Reinhardt. Commissioner Carter.
Thank you. I will start in White Bear then, because I was there this weekend for the AHA exhibit. I mentioned last week that Beverly, my secretary, administrative assistant, has an exhibit there along with her husband. There are other artists as well. And I was very impressed. The center is just so lovely. I had been there before, but the expansion and walking into the expansion, seeing all of the exhibit areas, the program areas, the small store, it's just a beautiful location. So if you haven't been there, it is a lovely place to go. I also had the opportunity to attend, along with Chair Matis Castillo, a presentation in Midway Peace Park, which is in the university area. And it was an opportunity for us to be recognized for a lovely urban park that was created with the participation of, in fact, because of neighbors in that area who looked around and didn't see a place for their children to play, coming together with community, coming together with government, and making certain that the support existed to be able to create this park right behind Gordon Park School. Is it Deb Holland?
Yes.
Secretary Deb Holland, who is the Secretary of the Interior, came to that Peace Park in the Midway and presented an overview of America the Beautiful programming, which will provide funding for parks across the United States. And for Minnesota, I believe there was $8 or $9 million that will go to parks. Midway Peace Park was an early recipient and received some funds for that installation, and parks across the metro area will as well. It was a great time with our Representative Betty McCollum, who has done such great work bringing resources to us. Also, of course, with our senators as well, who have participated aggressively to ensure that we receive our components of federal funds. The governor and others were there to celebrate this announcement and to recognize the Peace Park as a part of an example of what can happen when we focus on making sure that there are parks within minutes of all of our residents. I also had the opportunity to be a part of the Performance Council meeting this past week, the State Performance Council. We reviewed extenuating services claims, which are presented when we are having difficulty in our counties meeting the service levels that we are looking forward to for our residents. The services of expedited SNAP were a concern during COVID. So the funds for people to help feed their families that are applied for were a concern. The timeliness of those funds being processed within 24 hours, which is quick turnaround as we were making changes to the location of services, as we were opening up our services centers. And so we have a focus in that area to ensure that we're able to bring back to that level of satisfactory performance across our metropolitan area. Those expedited SNAP claims, all of the urban counties because of our large numbers, and of course because of the economic circumstances that we are in, and particularly during COVID. We're well impacted, and we'll look to see what happens with that, especially now that people have the opportunity to apply online, which is really not true because we have to do the interviews, but they're selecting applying online. The impact to our services moving forward are something that we will have to watch and continue to work with the state on. I participated in a NACO Justice and Public Safety Policy Steering Committee, and the focus there has been on the legislation moving forward, particularly for FEMA and Human Services, Health and Human Services applications, and awards for emergency mental health or mental health during emergency circumstances. Those awards, there's bipartisan work going on to increase those awards so that we are better able to meet the mental health needs of individuals in our communities after emergencies. We also talked about what was surprising to me, we talk about it a lot, the inmate exclusion, to make certain that inmates who are in our jails and have not yet gone to court are able to continue to have medical coverage. Still working through all of that, and it seems as though we've talked about it so long that we should have gotten through that. Everyone knows that we need that support. However, it appears as though for the next couple of years we'll be working on it and looking at the potential of an administrative action that will hopefully help us get through that step. The last thing I think I had on my list, yes, was that I sat by the University of Minnesota display yesterday. Students in the urban planning program have been looking at Towerside and what can happen when that west side of University Avenue and the university area is developed in a manner in which it should be in order to address the economic prosperity that we want to see. The students also included the University of Minnesota transit ways and are envisioning what could happen if the transit ways were used if the university transit way were used in a different manner. It was an interesting exhibit. We know the great work that the university does when its students, in fact, have the opportunity to put their ideas forward. And that's it. I'll cut it short. Thank you. I could have done others, but I won't. I know you're looking at me.
Thank you, Commissioner Carter. Commissioner McDonough. Commissioner McGuire, we're going to go to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and just want to echo Commissioner Reinhardt's sentiments that this is still with us despite being double boosted, double vaxxed. It's not a guarantee that you won't get it, but it will help you to not get COVID too badly. So I've got it, and I'm going to get through it. But it's I'm grateful that I've been boosted and back. So I just want to encourage everyone to do that and be really careful when you go to large events, because I'm sure that's what happened last week, and I got it at a super spreader. So just be careful when you're at events that you're taking your mask off to eat. You got to be really careful. I'd say wear masks as often as you can. That's my advice for people, grateful that I'm able to be at least as with you as I am now. So thank you for that. Just want to also say that the upcoming events, the Ramsey County League of Local Government is meeting this Friday. We're going to hear from Ramsey County workforce trends. So Ling Becker's going to be presenting that. So that's this Friday at 7:30. You can register. That will be on Zoom, that call. And just to give a shout out to AMC, who has their, like every couple of weeks, they have their AMC government relations team sessions, and that's on Monday mornings, and they give a whole update on all the legislation that's going on. So you should all be getting notices of that, but just to keep that on your mind. If you're able to listen to one of those on Zoom, they're very informative and very interesting. Also, just want to give a shout out to Solid Ground and Dorothy Day, who both had their fundraising breakfast last week for all the good that they do in the community. So thank you for that, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner McGuire. Commissioner Ortega.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll just echo the event at 735 Margaret Street. I gave him your condolences for not being there, told him he had a family event out of town. Commissioner Carter joined me. It was fantastic. First of all, it was fantastic to see the transformation. I've been inside that house before it was even worked on, and it looked like Mission Impossible, to be quite frank. And you know, we did it under our old program of the forfeiture program, and that has been redesigned. But I think even more important, and one of the things that I brought out was that, you know, the community stuck in there. I must have met with them 4 or 5 times before we got started. And even though they were adamant, they weren't, you know, I've been in much different situations in the past. It was really how do we work things out, and the steady advocacy. And then, of course, the kids that got trained, the young people, I shouldn't call them kids, the young people that got trained. We have a speaker, Van, who spoke, who was one of the participants, and he's already employed. That's awesome. And that's what it's about. To be honest with you, it's about training of the kids, the young folks, and that will make a difference as we move forward. So I just wanted to highlight that again because I think it really showed a true partnership between us, and that, you know, and I happen to bring out that we've got a lot to learn in Ramsey County in terms of community engagement, as we have found out in some other situations. We haven't communicated as well. But the point is that we keep moving on forward. It's never going to be a perfect world, but we need to continue on the partnership.
Thank you, Commissioner Ortega. I'll just add a few comments on the site visit that Commissioner Fretherman and I went on. It is truly exciting where we're heading with organics recycling. I think the most exciting part for me was not just that we were there on organics, but I took an opportunity to explore transit and transportation while we were there. And the organics, the food waste from household food waste that we saw, particularly in Sweden, looked very much like the food waste that we will see. It was contaminated. Things were put into the containers that shouldn't have been. They were still able to process. And they turned that food waste into biogas that was able to completely fuel 50 city buses on biogas, in addition to their snowplows and fleet vehicles. I'm looking at Public Works in the back, that actually didn't need a conversion of their engines. So if they're running on diesel now, biogas can be filled right into the tanks, which was a really exciting thing as clean energy. Also, their transit system, they had modern streetcar in Stockholm. The roads were closed to cars. There was no cars in the city center. It was bike infrastructure, protected bikeways, pedestrian, and modern streetcar in the city. And they're actually in Sweden, I overheard 2 moms talking about a third mother publicly shaming her for driving her kids to soccer and not biking her kids to soccer. And I thought, well, what a change that would be here. And by the way, the climate there is the same as it is here in St. Paul, which is why we went there to make sure that it would work in winter temperatures. And their transit also works. All of their semis, their freight vehicles, their buses are run either on biodiesel or electric, to include their freight trains. So it was quite impressive to see. We had the opportunity to ride on the super fast trains as well as regular trains. And so it was both a organics trip, but also a transit trip with really exciting stuff. And then the part on the Secretary Hadlin coming to the Peace Park in the Midway, and as Commissioner Carter mentioned, this came out of the idea from community. And there's a young man that many of you will recognize his name, Khalik Rogers, that opened the press conference. And he's been a longtime partner on youth homelessness here in Ramsey County, and has been graduated from Gordon Parks High School himself, having experienced homelessness, and has been a great partner, but also that he's moved in this work of we need parks and we need green space to include housing to make sure that we're all living equitably and as well. And so I just wanted to lift up that it all came from a young man that people invested in, and Khalik Rogers. And Commissioner Carter wanted to add to that.
I just wanted to add, I hadn't mentioned that this was the 1247 St. Anthony Skyline Towers residents
yes.
who were primary in that. So thanks for
Yes.
bringing it up again. I wanted to give credit to the community.
That's right. It came from community. So it's always great to have special guests come to recognize, but we want to recognize that the work solutions come from the community, and when we invest in community, we get the right things. And then lastly, I was able to speak at the Catholic Charities breakfast last Friday morning to highlight and raise funds for homelessness, and it gave another opportunity for us to address our crisis and our pending edge of finances for our shelter system, and really encourage the community to get involved and reach out to legislators and to reach out. Right now, the House does have $8 million in for our shelters. It's not nearly enough, but it's something, and they're in conference committee, but the Senate does not have any. And so I just want to highlight, this is the time to reach out to every single person. I know we have Representative Pinto on the conference committee, so if you have relationships, I encourage you to encourage him as well, but to reach out to our legislators to make sure that we're funding homelessness, because this really is going to have a critical impact on our community. With that, we will close. We are going to move in to which one are we doing first? HRA meeting with Commissioner McDonough, and then our regional rail with Commissioner Ortega. We are adjourned.